that time right at the moment?
Yeah, I'm gonna sneak into an office here and close the door.
Okay.
If we can go here. Hang on just a second, you're good. All right, I'm good.
Okay. I guess I'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And we called the meeting to order on, mainly on what our rent and the utilities would be for the foundation, but we need to rescind that $500 that we mentioned the other night. So I think that's the first thing we need to do is have a motion to rescind the $500.
I'll make a motion to rescind the motion of $500 previously made.
Okay, it's been moved by Amanda and second by Larry. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Abstain.
Oh, that's right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I'll let Amanda explain a little bit more because she did a lot of research on this, figuring up square footage and the different things and stuff, but I think she got it pretty well there where we need to change this.
First of all, there's a map, so I it's where it used to be the old VFW, but I figured square footage-wise of what the space they would be utilizing compared to how much the city has. And obviously, I think half the utilities was a little high. We didn't take into account the council chambers and the storage, like the whole back half. That half of the front, but that's only really a kind of, square footage-wise, it equals 18% roughly. The one sheet, there's two different sheets of rental income of businesses up and down Main Street that I could get. The one that the median is $3.23 has an extremely high rent of $6.41 per square foot. And I question when I talked to these individuals, I kind of got a different vibe from the wife, from the husband. And it was like, well, we start out here, this is what we'd like to get, so I'm not 100% sure that they actually get that. So I pulled that one out. And so if you look at the second one, and I guess in my line of work, we always go off of median as opposed to average because that eliminates your outliers, your high numbers, and your low numbers and gets you more centrally. And so that one came in at a median of $3 a square foot. And then I did do a breakdown of the square footage they have at $3 a square foot plus I took the utilities. Lila got me 19 and 20 utilities, 19 the PD was there full time, 20 nobody was over there. So I averaged the two, thinking that would kind of maybe give us an idea of somebody being there 20 hours a week part-time. So I took that and then divided it by square foot. So on that other sheet, it shows the average rent, the average utilities per square foot, multiplied it by the 86 square feet that they have, and divided it out, and it comes roughly to $325 a month. Any questions? And I guess if you do look at the other sheet with all the different rent incomes, that top line is what we were charging at $300. So you can tell we were up high, I believe anyways.
And utilities were high because they only have 860 square feet up in there. They basically got two offices and a little side room and a front entry room, so it is quite a bit smaller. So
20% of the whole, 18%, but
yeah,
20%, so a fifth of it.
We do, and I guess this is for your consideration though. Lauren's work on the commercial lease is $860, and that might not be done yet because she hasn't.
There's some down here too. Conference with Lila about CCKCF rental. So but I don't know how much of that, because there's 4 or 5 things in that.
Yeah, and I'm going to say that's probably not a lot because our conversations, although they do go on, sometimes it couldn't be more than a half an hour. So
we probably got $1,000 in just a rental agreement, which I thought was extremely out of line. I think we could have came up with our own agreement for a little bit of nothing. So that really bothers me there, but I don't know what we can do about that. But
Well, do you have any idea why it was so high?
She says she spent 4.5 hours on it.
Can you hear Lila?
I know, vaguely.
She's, yeah, there you go.
The invoice shows that she had spent 4.5 hours on it. Back
On
on.
a lease agreement?
Yes.
Holy cow.
But the bottom line is, and I'm just going to express my opinion, I don't feel like the city should absorb all of that, since it was the foundation that approached us with this idea. So I don't feel like, that's just my opinion, though.
Do we want to visit with the foundation and get their thoughts as far as?
I mean, you could always, the mayor had said earlier, maybe increase the rent by $25 over what you're originally planning and consider that as
Yeah.
paying for this, for
If
what
we
it costs.
raised it to 350, even the three,
Well, I mean, I guess that would be a decision, you think of the foundation, whether or not they want to pay it,
Well,
or
that's
half of
true.
it, or they want us to divvy it up over their rent. I mean, I think that would maybe be up to them, that we could be willing to divide it up over so many months, and bump up the rent, or if they have the funds and want to just pay
That's true.
whatever we agree on, whether it's half or, figure out once it's done.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
What's everybody thinking as far as a total figure on this whole thing? As far as how much per month, including utilities, or is everybody kind of thinking that we're going to be looking at?
well, right now, I would say we should be right around that $300 mark.
That's
Well,
where I was.
327, right?
That's the median, I mean, that's the middle number. I feel like if we're in range within that,
Quick question. Just suppose, hypothetically, I don't think it will, but hypothetically, suppose the foundation says, we're going to go a different direction. Are we still out this, we had talked about that beforehand?
Well, I would have never thought it would be
yeah,
that much.
I wouldn't have thought it would have been that.
$200
Yeah.
was what I would guess something like that would have cost us.
I would have assumed you would have had a lease agreement already on file you've done for somebody else, and like, I was telling Lila and Scott, I'm like, I had a lease agreement when I had my house on Adams, when I had it rented out.
Yeah.
We could have easily taken that form and modified it for this, and, to me, I just think $400.
I know I've only
is
been on for a
extreme.
short while, but this is the third time we feel like we've kind of gotten a little surprised.
Mhm.
And I think we got to figure out sooner or later, we got to quit after the fact,
But we really can't talk about
be
that.
surprised, because
Yeah.
that's just,
What's that, Larry?
Can we go back and argue against that amount? That just seems very excessive.
Well, we really can't talk too much more about this because it's a whole different subject. So we better just decide on rent, and then we can hassle out the rest of that later. And so do we want to decide on so much rent and maybe see if the foundation would pay half of the legal fee to do this? I don't know what the right thing is to do. Because I'm sure they'd say the same thing. It was that much?
well, yeah. But
Or would it make more sense to just go, if we're looking at 300, just go to 3.25 to kind of absorb that?
Well, $25 would bring in 300 more, so it's 300 of the 800. Well, I think it's going to be close to $1,000 time it's done.
Well,
And I don't know, we're going to have to start, we got to figure out something different, but
And do we need to keep the rent, one payment, and then whatever goes to the attorney? Does that need to be something totally different?
To me, it makes a
See
lot
what I'm
more
saying?
sense.
Instead of working it into the payment.
Probably.
What's that, Larry?
To me, it makes a lot more sense to be around the $300 range total, and it'd be a lot more fair to the council, and I still think we're in the range of other people around town. Plus, I've never had an issue with this impropriety deal. I just
Well, and the ROI is just too good.
It's the money thing.
Yeah, it's a money thing, and it's good to have it out in the open because we've discussed it.
Right.
Yeah.
We've all discussed it, it's in our meetings, it's in the minutes and everything. We did discuss it, and we know there is some concern, but we'll just go forward from there.
300 a month would be $295 a square foot, so it's not, I mean, we're close to that $3. I mean, like I said, if we're within that range,
Yeah.
and, yeah, I'm more comfortable with that than 500. Yeah.
Hey, Scott,
Yeah,
can I get, since I can't see everybody, can I get a general opinion from everybody as to what they're thinking?
yeah, what do you think, David?
I think what the work that Amanda has done, I think that is pretty spot on. I think that's what I'm thinking.
So, well, Dara,
Yeah.
Dara probably doesn't want to say anything. Amanda's put a lot of work in it.
Yeah, like I said, I was comfortable Monday when somebody threw out 300, and then they said 300 with utilities, and I thought, well, that's high. So, like I said, I've been comfortable from the get-go at that 300 mark.
It seems, not that I have an opinion that matters, but it seems more reasonable to me.
Yeah.
And it's good where you did these numbers to back up
Yeah.
your decision.
I'm very good with the 300, guys.
Okay, do I hear a motion to, we already rescinded the 500 to go to $300 for their lease rent agreement.
I'll make a motion.
Been moved by David,
Second,
second by Larry. All in favor?
Aye.
Say aye.
aye.
Okay, we're good. Okay,
We probably need a motion, though,
Okay.
yeah. Motion or some kind of decision what you want to do about Lauren's bill. Do you want
Which I
me
guess
to?
we need to visit with the foundation and see.
And I can let them know and get back.
Could we start half and half? Ask them whatever the final bill is, would y'all want to pay half, if we want to pay half, could we just start there and see what we can work out?
Well, why don't you bounce it off the foundation and get an idea of what their thoughts are and tell them what we're up against?
yeah, just tell them that we're willing to jump down to 300, but we'd like help on our attorney's bill for what this is costing, and it might be $500. And if they would,
Does anybody see anything wrong with spreading that out over so many months? I mean, even if we were to add 25?
yeah,
I would say we can put that offer out to the foundation that we'd be willing to increase the rent $25 or $50 a month to spread out that expense. But like I said, let's leave it up to them if they have the funds and want to pay it upright, or if they want to make
Yeah.
payments. I mean, that's really kind of on them.
Do we need to inflate the two though?
Well,
Rent and the attorney fees and meld them into one payment, or should we keep them separate?
I'd say keep them one payment, but we're going to have to remember in 6 months or however long, then it will change again.
reduce the rent.
Mm-hmm.
Because as far as the city's concerned, we just have to pay the bill. It's already been
We'll just
paid.
pay it in that money and come back to ours.
It'll be a reimbursement.
So,
And then what other fees, like, well, phone and internet, and then,
Actually, let me just interrupt real quick, because I want to, on this same topic, we do need to have it separate, because the auditors will look at that. It's a reimbursement for an expense that we've already spent, so it does need to be a reimbursement. So it would have to be a separate payment from the rent payment, sorry.
so if we would tell the foundation that the lease agreement's $300 a month, $3,600 a year, and we split the legal fees. Go off
We
the
don't really
contract.
know what they're going to be yet.
And you can go ahead and let them know that it's probably going to be around $500, which it shouldn't have been, but.
Well,
Can't do anything right now, I guess, but
yeah.
But $200 a
then-
month in utilities, $500 in legal fees, that's $2,400
I
a
think-
year.
I think the foundation's going to be a lot more comfortable and excited about this whole situation with the 300.
Yeah.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
oh, yes.
And what were you going to say, Dara, before I so rudely
no, I was,
interrupted?
so I can go back and just say, okay, and then we have the phone and the internet, and then what other costs was there?
You had
Any
the
of those?
insurance,
Oh, the insurance.
liability
we-
insurance and renter's insurance.
And I think, I'm pretty sure that those are bundled together on you need a renter's insurance policy with the
Yeah.
liability.
Okay.
But, hey, Lila,
Yes.
Question I had about that, if our equipment's already in there, would they have to have renter's insurance if is it up to them whether or not they cover the computers and their own equipment?
I can ask Kelly Fruin. I would think they'd want to, but,
Yeah, I think that's a
Maybe.
risk of their own if they don't want to pay renter's insurance. That's a risk of their own. I mean, there's people that rent houses that don't have renter's insurance. They're taking a
Mhm.
But we
risk
require
on
them
their
to
own.
have their insurance.
But-
Well, what
the
I-
liability,
What I meant was
yes.
more about the liability insurance. Isn't that already pretty well
That's
covered by
required.
universal policy?
It was recommended by Kelly where they are a tenant that they need to have their own liability insurance. If somebody's over there in their space now that they're renting and gets injured, that's their responsibility and
Because they're
not the
coming to
city's.
this office instead of our office.
Right.
Right.
So if they fall on the steps out there, they were going to the foundation instead of this office, and luckily, we don't have much of that happen around
Yeah,
here, but
it probably won't.
It could happen.
But yeah,
It could
it
happen.
does happen.
So, okay, well, we probably better adjourn, because we shouldn't talk about any more of this, but I appreciate everybody, and I know they will appreciate the $300 a month. So,
Definitely.
okay, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Moved by Amanda,
So-
second by David. Everybody say aye.
Aye.
All right.
All right,
Thanks.
Thanks, Larry.
Thanks for working me in, guys.